Oh, this gaggle is getting out of hand.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God.
This is unbelievable.
We all know there is a difference between saying you're cleared and technically being cleared through a transparent process. As public scrutiny around the Epstein files continues, Donald Trump keeps on trying to distance himself from the entanglement, as though that's even possible at this point, because he has been mentioned more than 38,000 times. There has been delays in the release of the files, reductions made, and still he has nowhere to hide. And recently, a few people have been called in for questioning. Trust me, we'll remember who has been called in and who hasn't. And when someone tells the public to move on, claim to have been exonerated, that causes more outrage.
Facebook. This message is for President Trump. It's not. Earlier today, P.S. Trump, fuck you. I'm gonna say that. Earlier today, you said it's time for us to move on from these Epstein files. The fuck are you talking about? Who's been arrested? Who's been arrested? There are people currently right now, like the Skippy, who is in the government. And if you can watch that video and hear that child and say we need to move on, you are worthless in my eyes until you do something. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. We need to burn this motherfucker to the ground until every single person that was involved in this, my guys, I know my platform isn't political, but goddamn, I feel like at this point, if you're not saying anything, you're complicit. Like you're okay with what happened to these women, these children, these young boys, these men. And it was done by the highest powers in government. It was done by the most powerful people that are supposed to protect. I'm begging you, don't go listen to the video. I'll never forget it. I turned it off as soon as I kind of got an idea what I was watching. But that's something I will never get out of my head. Burn this fucking shit to the ground until we expose every one of them. Trump, that is your fucking job. Do your fucking job.
Trump says, I'm exonerated, releases 3 million files that are fully redacted. It's like he didn't do his homework. He's submitting the project and he says, I got an A+, I'm exonerated. I'm choking on my coffee this morning. We've got an attorney general who can't tell the truth for more than she can't tell the truth. We have an administration that's redacting and covering up and not releasing full files. And then we have a president who says he's innocent. Please, for the love of God, don't try me in a criminal court.
You thought 38,000 mentions was a lot? Try 1 million. You're not going to believe this reporting from Axios. They interviewed Jamie Raskin after he went to the DOJ yesterday to review the unredacted Epstein files. Congress got access to that yesterday, and importantly, they still don't have access to the more than 3 million documents that the DOJ still hasn't released. So this is only what's been publicly made available that Jamie Raskin was reviewing when he was at the DOJ yesterday. And after he searched for Donald Trump, he didn't come up with 38,000 hits in the unredacted files. He came up with 1 million results for Donald Trump's name in the Epstein files. That means on average, 1 out of every 3 files that has been publicly released references the President of the United States. If this does not put into context the staggering cover-up that is happening and unfolding before our eyes, I don't know what is. You cannot possibly be anything less than a ringleader of this trafficking ring to be referenced 1 million times in these documents.
And I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
Exonerated? Meaning your name was in the Epstein files 38,000 times? Including numerous women who claim that you did horrible things to them?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting.
You know what's really interesting? The fact that Democrats said your name has been redacted over 1 million times.
We have some news this evening. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is now saying that the Epstein files, quote, totally exonerated him. A direct quote from the president of the United States on Air Force One during a press gaggle that he had with reporters this evening. Now that quote is just not true. After reviewing tens of thousands of Epstein files myself, I can confirm to you that there were allegations against the President of the United States that were not fully investigated. And if they were, the results of those investigations, well, that's unclear. In addition, we learned just over the past 24 to 48 hours from Roger Sollenberger's reporting that the FBI did interview an accuser of the President of the United States. What we don't know is what happened after that. Where did the investigation lead? To claim that it totally exonerated him is just a bold-faced lie, and every journalist should say the same. Spread the word.
So I'm not kidding when I say this, but Donald Trump just told reporters on Air Force One that he believes he's been totally exonerated by the Epstein files. Despite the files containing very serious allegations against him, Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I have nothing to hide. I have been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I have been totally exonerated on Epstein." And he says this just a day after we learned that the FBI interviewed a victim who accused Donald Trump of assaulting her when she was between 13 and 15 years old, and the FBI deemed her to be a credible accuser. And we also know, according to an Epstein victim, that Donald Trump not only knew about Epstein's finances, but also his desire for children. So I'm sure the people around Donald Trump have told him that he's been exonerated. I mean, they just kind of tell him whatever he wants to hear. But if you're a normal person who's actually read these files, you can see that Donald Trump is very much implicated. There is no exoneration for him in there anywhere at all, and he still has some questions to answer about it.
Mr. Trump says he has totally exonerated himself from the Epstein hoax, and the DOJ should just tell everybody they're done with this and move on, like a true guilty person would do.
Donald Trump said he's fully exonerated from the Epstein files.
Why?
A news reporter asked him about it today, and he said he's fully exonerated because he's not in it at all. He said his name's been fully cleared and only the Democrats are showing up the Epstein files, which makes him fully exonerated from it.
But how can he be exonerated when he never went to court for it?
Nobody knows because Trump's name populates over 1 million times in the Epstein files. The DOJ is currently deleting more files with Trump's name in it and saying that they're not going to prosecute anybody because there's no proof that any man did anything to women in the Epstein files, to include Trump. So he's never going to court.
To be exonerated, you have to legally be charged with something, and he hasn't went to court for anything that's been...
After he made that announcement, MAGA got angry and started making videos calling him out online.
Well, and welcome to another day in the United States of hell, where it's clear to see an elite people is running our country. And let's talk about the most elite of them all. Daddy Dumpy Pants, the P Chief, who mustered up his caucasity on Air Force One yesterday to pucker up his facial sphincter to say, those files have exonerated me. Baby, you need to expand your vocabulary, because what those files did was implicate you, not exonerate you, dear. Implicate you. But I am exacerbated today by the fact that the members of the DOJ seem to think that nothing else needs to be investigated. What you trying to say? Because we know today that over there at the Zorro Ranch, the DOJ and the FBI never went there to investigate. They never actually searched that property of Jeffrey's. So it makes me think today, how many other properties tied to Jeffrey are there out there that have not been searched properly? Yeah, Blondie, you can kiss my entire while you're trying to protect that orange man, okay? And while we're talking about being exasperated by the GOP, let's talk about the fella who bought Zorro Ranch, baby. Because he's come out to say today, since there's so much heat going his way for purchasing that property, don't you worry, honey, I'm going to turn it into a Christian resort. Oh, so you mean it's going to stay the same? It will be a place where white men across the US of A can take children in a future day to put their hands on them? Yeah. Like every Christian resort in our history, every Christian child camp, baby, every youth meeting. Yeah. So it's going to stay the same. Gotcha. My, oh my. These guys. Can we get somebody from China today to do the do that they said they're going to do to the pals, boo? Yeah, they said they'll fuck you if they catch you putting hands on children. Yeah. And all across the globe today, people are being fired and arrested too. And their names aren't mentioned in those files over 1 million fucking times, boo. Anyway, I've got more tea in the brew and I'll be back expeditiously to pour it for you. Fuck this dude.
Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. in those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage the press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong. Yesterday, he said, essentially, that it is not a crime to party with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's actually not correct. If Jeffrey Epstein was human trafficking minors for these sex parties, and you show up and patronize the establishment at that party, yes, you're guilty, because patronizing is part of the law, of the federal sex trafficking law. So Deputy General Todd Blanche just got that wrong, which maybe explains why they aren't investigating all these folks, including Donald Trump. He needs to read the law and investigate these people. He also needs to resign, not only for not knowing the law, but a massive, not only screw up, but the biggest privacy violation in history. They release a lot of pictures of minors unredacted, just violated the privacy of these girls. It is uncalled for what they did. The one thing that they could not do under this law was to invade the privacy of these women now, who were girls at the time, who were victims of sex trafficking. Also, he met with Ghislaine Maxwell, moved her to the minimum security prison, and then got a puppy for her. So for all those reasons, he's just got to leave the Department of Justice.
I know this will shock your viewers this morning, but Donald Trump is lying when he says he's totally exonerated. It's the opposite. Every time we get more information, either through the Oversight Committee's subpoena or the files that have been released publicly or the redacted files that members of Congress have viewed, Trump's relationship with Epstein appears longer and deeper. I reviewed the redacted file with Epstein's lawyers, recounting the fact that, Donald Trump in 2009 admitted that he never kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He's continued for decades after that, claiming that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. So far from the files exonerating him, the files suggest he had a much deeper relationship with Epstein than he wants us to know.
This man is absolutely insane and grotesque. And the thing about it is that people are going to watch, people on the MAGA side and the MAGA camp are going to watch this video and they're going to believe him. Except he hasn't been totally exonerated. Quite the opposite. Thousands of allegations against Donald Trump. Thousands. Thousands of uninvestigated allegations against Donald Trump. And he says he's been completely exonerated. No, he hasn't. As a matter of fact, he has been implicated more and more and more with each new file that comes out.
This is the problem with Donald Trump. He just says, hey, I've been exonerated. How? You've been mentioned like 38,000 times in those files. How? Did you testify under oath? Did you show proof that you're innocent? How? How did you get exonerated? Just you saying it? I'm sorry, that ain't how it works. I'm saying, hey man, you want to say that you're exonerated? Go to Congress, go under oath, answer the questions. Answer the questions, Mr. President. You want to exonerate yourself? Go under oath. Oh, and release the rest of them. The other 3 million plus files. This is the problem with you. Is like you say this shit and there's some smooth brain Trumpers that are actually going to believe that shit. You know, and I know, you ain't exonerating shit, bro. Go under oath, big boy. Put your hand up and go under oath. Let's see what you're going to say.
Who do you believe, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
My husband has said he took some rides on the airplane for his charitable work. I don't recall ever meeting him.
Clinton just gave an interview to the BBC trying to explain why her family name keeps appearing in the Epstein files, along with photos of Bill Clinton appearing in Epstein's hot tubs and swimming pools.
It was one of the stops they made to look at philanthropic and charitable work that my husband has done, saving literally millions of lives around the world.
But why did she even give this interview in the first place? Well, because the Clintons have been subpoenaed to testify before Congress. They're going to be asked what their involvement was with Jeffrey Epstein under threat of being charged with criminal contempt.
Why did they want to pull us into this? To divert attention from President Trump. This is not complicated. This is so obvious.
Clinton says there is no wrongdoing on her family's part, and don't be distracted by photos making the rounds.
If Bill and I had a penny for every person we've taken pictures with, we would be extremely rich today.
I should say, there are many wealthy and powerful people who appear in the Epstein files, Democrats like Clinton, Republicans like Trump, but none of it is conclusively criminal because it's all just been this kind of slow trickle of piecemeal information, which Clinton says is evidence of a
continuing cover-up by the Trump administration. So there's something about this administration's attitude toward this, which I think really leads us to conclude they have something to hide. We don't.
Trump is in the Epstein files over 1 million times. He is in the unredacted files that the DOJ is hiding from us regular people and only allowing limited access to Congress people. He is in those files 1 million times. They have been visible to members of Congress for 2 days now. 2 days from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they have already found out that Trump is in there 1 million fucking times. And this comes from Representative Jamie Raskin. And he also told us that he has already caught Trump in a lie about his relationship with Epstein. Already, like, imagine what we could find out and what we could learn if they had been given access to the unredacted files this entire time. Why is the DOJ hiding that back? Because there was a 2009 email exchange between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, why would that be redacted? Why are they protecting Epstein and Ghislaine? Are you kidding me? This is the most obvious fucking cover-up ever. Anyway, and in this document, there's evidence that Trump lied about kicking Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Trump has been saying for years that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago in, 2009, 2008, and that doesn't seem to be true. Which is not surprising at all because there are other references to their relationship continuing on after Epstein's conviction. And they need to be able to access more of these files. Like, none of these should have been hidden in the first place. And all of this information that I'm telling you right now is from an article on Axios.
Now, that's a lie. Donald Trump has not been totally exonerated. Everyone knows his name is in the Epstein files well over 1 million times in the unredacted version.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in. And that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
I've been totally exonerated on Epstein. And it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
The USS Gerald Ford, which is...
This screams guilty, ladies and gentlemen. And the American people, we're not buying it. Donald Trump, here's the thing, champ. You got a lot of explaining to do, and Hillary Clinton is right. All right. You're using them to try to distract from your relationship. I get it. Bill Clinton was all in those files and he needs to be held accountable. Yeah, Hillary too. But for them to be held accountable and you not makes absolutely no sense. Nice try. And anyone that believes Donald Trump, something's truly wrong with you. The man just looks and smells, as far as I'm concerned, right? And that's based on several credible pieces of evidence in the Epstein files. Yeah, he's definitely got a lot of explaining to do, to say the least.
Donald Trump is not only named thousands of times in the latest release from the Department of Justice, he is named over 38 38,000 times in the files that were released 2 weeks ago alone. And we know that that only represents half of the files that the Department of Justice has in its possession, including files that were used for direct investigations of perpetrators, people who committed crimes, people who were co-conspirators in those crimes, and individuals who knew of those crimes. We know that there are multiple administration officials, including Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, who served as the appointee for the DOJ efforts in the White House. We know that the Secretary of Navy. We know that Steve Bannon. We know that there are more than 36 associates, family members, and individuals directly associated with Donald Trump named in those files.
Now, Donald Trump has recently said he's been exonerated from anything to do with Jeffrey Epstein. But Les Wexner today says quite the opposite. And this is according to Jasmine Crockett.
And I will tell you one thing that was remembered for sure was when asked about Donald Trump and Epstein and whether or not they had been in the same room and what that looked like. He didn't quite remember, but he imagined that, yes, that possibly happened, because he did remember that Donald Trump also would like to show up to the Victoria's Secret runway shows. Now, that was a little odd to him, he said, because Donald Trump was not engaged in fashion whatsoever.
Who are you going to believe? Donald Trump or Les Wexner? Donald Trump, what were you doing at those Victoria's Secret beauty pageants? I thought you were a married man. And then Wexner admits that he went to Epstein Island after all.
I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else, really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
With all that we've watched, there seems to be no accountability at all. Is claiming exoneration the same as proving innocence? Because public statements don't close investigations, only transparency does.